All right, well, without further ado, the summer 2020 release is here. My name is Chad Klein. I'm an account manager here with Paladin. And I've been going on here for about 7 years or so, and it's been one heck of a year, that's for sure. Paladin had people working from home for a little while with the whole craziness that happened, and we recently have changed up the whole office, so we are social distanced proof. We've got partitioning walls, and they've really rolled out the red carpet for us, trying to keep everybody safe. So all of us here at Paladin appreciate that. But it's a good year. It's a good year. We're happy to be back in the office. We're happy that we've got a lot of new releases and new features to share with you guys. As always, this webinar is being recorded, and so if you get busy and have to leave or want to review something that we covered later, you can always go onto our website. You'll find a little area there called webinars, and you can go ahead and watch all of the webinars that we've ever done. And over the years, we've accumulated quite a library of resources. So if you guys ever are wondering, how do I do this in Paladin? I don't want to call support and figure it out that way. I just want a quick answer. Go ahead and look through the webinars. Go up and search the webinars and the knowledge base, the how-to articles. We've accumulated quite a bit and put a lot of work into that. So please use it. It always makes us feel good when our efforts get used. All right, this is what we're going to be covering today. We want to go over the summer 2020 release. We're going to be talking about the new help request system that we've built to streamline our supporting capabilities between you guys and us. I want to talk about some integrations that we have coming out for firearms. Some accounting help for integrations is there. We all know accounting can be a bear of a task and can require a lot of clicks and a lot of maintenance to do everything and do everything properly. So we've come out with some new features with some integrations on some accounting softwares we think that will help with that a little bit. We've expanded our mobile device support and some cool new updates to some of the mobile applications that we have created that we want to talk about, and then just some general new point of sale features and some pretty cool ones as well. So without further ado, let's jump right into this, guys. So the new help request portal. This guy right here, historically, you have the help menu at the top of Paladin, and there's always been the option to open a new case. You can go in there, submit a case to us. Hey, my receipt printer is cutting off 3 inches down the receipt, and then we can give you a call and support you. This is basically the spruced up version of that. We've got some additional options. So that little drop-down carrot, there's a chat support. That's a recent thing that we've rolled out in the last year, is the ability to chat with a support technician right away. So live, like you're using, Yahoo Messenger or something like that. So you can hit that chat support, bring that up, and start typing right away to a Paladin technician, get an answer to a question. Now, this should be used for quick questions. Hey, how do I receive a cash type ROA when customers paying off their bill? And then we can answer the simple question. If it's a more complicated question, would probably be better to open a case about it or give us a call. But that chat support's a real slick little way to get a quick answer. If you're having an issue with something, I wouldn't use the chat support for that. That's not really the area to tell us like, oh, hey, my receipt printer's cutting off that receipt. For that, you'd want to submit a help request. That submitting a help request replaces the open the new case menu option, and it will open a browser window. This help request portal is integrated into Paladin. You can also from there view your active requests. That replaces the My Cases page on the help portal website, and that feature also opens in Paladin. So you can submit a help request. It will bring up a window that you can send us whatever issue, whatever question that you're having. What this is going to do is pop up a little box, just like when you call us, it'll say, press 1 for sales, press 2 for support. And then once you get in there, it'll say, this is a store down emergency, press this option. Still the same option here. You can use this for store down emergencies. It will pop up a little box that will say, hey, if this is a store down emergency, yes, It will collect some information about your store, make a case, and send that over to the support technician best suited to handle that right away. So this is a great option to use for your store down emergency events as well. Credit cards aren't processing. Paladin is getting stuck somewhere. You can go ahead and use this for the store down. Now, obviously, if it's Paladin is not opening, you're not going to be able to go in here to open the, to use the help menu and submit a case that way. So this is not to replace the calling us option. That is still totally on the table. We are simply using this to augment our support abilities. And what this feature does, it's pretty cool. When you submit a help request, whether that's a store down emergency or not, it'll come up and say, tell us how we can help you. And then you can pick a category of help. What it's going to do with that, a case gets generated on our end and gets sent over to a Paladin support technician. And what it does is it collects some information that we have about your store and includes that automatically in the case. So when the support technician calls you or you get a hold of them, they already know information about your store that historically we would have to take the time to ask you a bunch of questions and kind of figure out what's going on. Now, we've got this information automatically being packaged up, sent over to the help technician. Also, we don't want to have anybody get passed around from person to person to person trying to find the help technician who is best suited to fix the specific issue that you're having or answer the specific question. Now, because we have you picking a subject matter, this case will be directed over to the person who is best suited to help answer that question or fix and resolve that specific issue. So this will really help us streamline our support with you. In addition to, if we figure out, man, we're getting a lot of requests for training. Well, maybe we need to hire more trainers. Maybe we have a deficiency in this certain area so we can improve. Again, just kind of giving us the data to be able to support you guys better and streamline the interactions between you and us. You can enter a detailed description. You can enter a contact phone and an email. So if you're out on the road or something and want us to call your cell phone, you can put a different contact method than we have on file for you in there, and we can use that one when resolving the specific issue. When you go into the open cases, you can also attach an attachment. So if there's like an error message that pops up in Paladin, you can take a screenshot of that and attach that to the help request that you've submitted. Again, trying to streamline the information that goes between you, our customers, and us, our Paladin support technicians, to better help you guys. You will also get an email. So when you do submit a help request, you will receive a help request ID. This ID is also going to be sent to the contact email address you entered, saying, hey, we've got you. Your help request has been received. We'll be calling you as quickly as possible. So you're going to get even more efficient and responsive support due to these enhancements. It's all fully integrated into Paladin, automatically collects that data that I was talking about specifically what you have going on, sends that to support tech to streamline our support of you. The categories is really going to help us streamline our staffing and making sure that we have the right people in the right positions and the right quantities to help the specific issues that our customers are experiencing. And then products and customer service are continually optimized based on the data we collect. So this is going to be getting better and better. This is also a good way, a good thing to use. Let's say you need some more receipt paper. You don't have to call us and go through that process anymore. You can simply submit a help request. Hey, I need some receipt paper. A support technician will get a hold of you and get that ordered for you. So you can use it for all sorts of things. Quick questions for that chat support, ordering new things, streamlining your help request. This is a pretty cool feature, so please use it. Something I want to say right now, and should probably have began with this, these are all new features, and we roll them out not to all of our customers at the same time. We roll them out across the nation over time. So if you don't see these options or any of the features that I'm talking about today currently in your Paladin, they are coming. These are all going to be rolled out here within the next few weeks, and as I was saying, we release them in chunks of the nation. So we kind of trickle them out, gives us a chance to make sure that the feature is fully fleshed out when people are using them, and continuously update before we just release them to everyone. So if you don't see these features right away, they are coming, and sit tight. You'll be getting them pretty quick. So we've got some new integrations. The first one that we want to talk about here today is the Fastbound integration. I'm going to use the new fandangled term that I just learned called a bound book, which is the little black book that the government requires anyone selling firearms to maintain. This is going to track your acquisition and your disposition of the firearms. So when you're receiving them, who you're getting them from, what you're getting, the serial numbers that you're getting, and then when you're selling them, to make sure that you collect the information that you're required to collect. There's a form that needs to be filled out when selling firearms. Fastbound will help you with this form, and it either provides you a physical copy of it, or you can send your customers an electronic link, maybe text it to them, email it to them, and they can fill it out on their phone or whatever device that has connection to the internet. Maybe even right there in the store, they fill out that form, and then when you're selling this item, Paladin will collect information off of that form. And then when you finish the transaction, it will send that information automatically up to Fastbound, which will update your bound book and make sure that you're in compliance with all of the information that you need to collect when selling a firearm, and also when buying a firearm from a supplier. So guaranteed compliance with firearm acquisition and disposition, and that form is Form 4473. And that will help you maintain that bound book. Again, I'm going to use that word as many times as I can because that sounds so smart. Love learning new things. So when you receive and sell these firearms, it is going to update that Fastbound, make sure that you're in compliance with all the information that you are required to collect when selling these firearms. This integration is free as far as it is on Paladin's side. I'm sure that Fastbound has a fee for their service. I've been told that it is extremely competitive and is well worth the streamlining and maintaining of this bound book and making sure that you're collecting the information that you need to collect so you're in compliance and Big Brother is happy with you when you're selling firearms. Pretty cool integration. If you would like to know more or like to be set up with this, please call Paladin Support and we can put you on the list for getting you set up and using this guy to streamline the firearms selling and receiving. We have a Quickbooks online integration. Now, we've had this for quite a while, and we're always trying to make sure that we're up to speed with the most recent Quickbooks versions, and we just now support the Quickbooks Online version. And what this allows you to do is it's going to sync your day's general ledger information, that you can generate the general ledger summary. I'm sure many of you are doing that already. And then it will send that over to your Quickbooks Online, and it will automatically import that. Also, we have the ability now to send purchase orders. So if you receive a purchase order, it will check, I think every hour, I believe, to see if you have any new purchase orders that you've received and closed out, and then it will send that information over to QuickBooks Online or any other version of QuickBooks that we have integrated with. You don't have to do the PO part of it. Many people just use the general ledger, but it's a nice little feature if you want to move that PO information over there as well and do a little bit more additional tracking. We have expanded our mobile device support and apps. So the first one here is a device that we've got up to speed, and this is the Touch Dynamic Quest 3 tablet. And don't be confused by the word tablet here, as it's not a tablet like a little iPad. This is actually a computer. This is not to be used for our mobile suite of applications like our mobile checkout, our delivery application, our signature collection application. This is actually a full-on version of Paladin. So not the app, you'll have the full Paladin software loaded onto this Touch Dynamic Quest 3 tablet, and you can do anything with it that you would be able to do with Paladin loaded onto a computer in your store. Except with this thing, you can go mobile with it. It is not to be intended to be used with like a 3G, 4G, 5G wireless cell phone connection, so you can use it anywhere in the world. This is intended to be used inside the store, connecting to the database via Wi-Fi. So as long as it's inside the store, it can connect to your database via Wi-Fi. You can walk around, scan items with it, build a ticket, check out customers, anything that you can do with Paladin, you can do with this as well. This would account for additional license here. If you're using integrated credit cards with Paladin, there is a credit card reader on it that you can accept both the MagTech strip and also the EMV chip card. So you can swipe and dip the cards using this device, which is pretty cool, right? If you're walking around with a contractor or helping somebody with a project, they want to build a deck for their backyard, and you're walking them through the store, getting them stuff and helping them out. As you're getting items and putting them in their cart, you can be scanning that, building that ticket, and then you don't even have to have them go wait in line to check out anymore. You can take their card right here or put it on their charge account from anywhere in the store that's got internet connection and finalize the checkout process. You can use this to email a receipt to them. You can also connect it to any peripheral hardware via Wi-Fi. So if you wanted to connect it to like a Bluetooth receipt printer or a laser printer, you can do that as well. It's got that card swiper, the EMV chip slot, barcode scanner built into it, and then a fingerprint reader as well for a little bit additional security when you're logging in and out. You can use a fingerprint scan like you're getting into a CIA building. Pretty cool. This is a Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 2. This is, in fact, a tablet, just like you're thinking. And this is not for the full Paladin software like that last one that I was talking about. This is to support our mobile applications, which we have a few of now. So you can use this for our mobile delivery, our mobile signature collection app, and then most importantly, and I think probably what most people are most excited about, is the mobile to checkout application. This basically is the Invoice quote, kind of a simplified version of the Invoice quote module on this little tablet. Does not require a Paladin license. We can set you up with this, and you can scan items with it, build a ticket on the fly. Now, unlike the last piece of hardware that we were talking about, that piece of hardware has to stay in the store connected to the Wi-Fi. Not so for this little guy. This guy, as long as it's got a 4 or 5G cell phone wireless internet connection, it can do this function anywhere in the world. So if you're at a job site and you need to build a ticket and you don't want to call home base for building the invoice, you can pull out this little bad boy, pull up all the items, and build an invoice out a ticket right there. It's even got a card reader that you can purchase with it that you can swipe a card with and accept payment that way as well. So sell anytime, anywhere that you've got an internet connection. You can collect signatures, process those payments. You got the card reader. It's pretty compact. It's like an 8-inch form factor, so it's pretty small. You might even be able to put it in your back pocket. And it's fairly rugged as well. I wouldn't recommend playing football with it or dunking it in a river, but it is water resistant, and it's got a pretty sturdy little pen and screen on there that's fairly scratch resistant and fairly durable. So if you're taking this out on the job site, it's a nice little way to streamline the checkout ability anywhere in the world. This guy here is the new Ingenico Lane 7000. It's simply the newer version of the ISC 250. If you're using integrated payment processor with Paladin, this is the newer version of that payment terminal. It is compliant with all the data security standards by the payment card industry. And it's a pretty cool little device. It's just a slicker version of that old Ingenico 250, user-friendly, multimedia touchscreen, payment processors. It's got that built-in signature capture pad, so you'll use this device for even your accounts receivable signatures, any sort of electronic signature capture. And of course, you can accept all major payment types, the touchless. So you got Apple Pay. I recently just got my phone up to working with that. I decided to hop on board with the 21st century and use some contactless payments, which a lot of people are using now, especially with old COVID. So it's nice to have that ability. This little device is a new. If you'd like to get one of these, you can call Paladin support, and we can help you out with that. The mobile to checkout app, we briefly talked about it from the hardware side with that new tablet that we have. We've also added some improvements to the application itself. So what it's always been able to do is scan items, build a ticket, accept the payment on the fly, and check somebody out. What we've got new is now you can recall stored quotes and check those out on your mobile device. So if somebody comes into the store, you build them a quote, and he wants to go ahead and proceed with that, but you have your tablet. You can now pull up the quote that you've stored earlier on this tablet and finish the transaction. Historically, you've not been able to do that. You can only build new ones. Now you can go ahead and recall the stored quotes. Now, this is not for on-hold tickets. It's only quotes at this time. So if you're like, where are my on-hold tickets? I can't find them. It's not looking in the on-hold bucket. It's only looking in the quote bucket. So store that as a quote, and then you'll be able to go ahead and finish that quote and check it out. Finalize the checkout on this mobile application. A new feature also is historically it will always just bring up the standard retail price that you have for this item in the database. Now what it'll do is it will respect your pricing plans and discount structures that we have applied in Paladin. So if contractors are getting a 10% discount, when you ring this up and you add the individual who has that pricing plan on their account to this ticket, it will go ahead and honor and respect that pricing plan and give them the 10% off on all of their items. New point of sale features. So we can now show the 1,000 board foot and ton prices on the quotes and invoices. We've been able to do this for a while now when you're receiving the item on the purchase order front. Now you can go ahead and display the 1,000 board foot, ton, whatever price on when you're selling the item in the invoice quote module. So you'll see on the item, there's a little drop down in the inventory module where you select cost per whatever you select. And then there's a checkout on the pricing level. There's a check box where you can select that MBF. And now that item will display the 1,000 board foot price at the invoice quote module. So if you wish to display that information while you're selling it, you can absolutely do that now. The square footage calculator. This is kind of a spruced up, more beefed out version of our footage calculator that we have. We have the square footage calculator now, which allows you to calculate the square foot quantities for an invoice item based on the dimensions. So width, length, and number of pieces that you enter. When you do this, it will add a little note beneath the line item on the invoice, telling the customer of the quantities, the width, the length, and the number that you entered. So the customer is able to see that as very visible. In order to do this, you can right-click on the item to access the calculator from the little quick access menu that pops up. There's a bunch of really cool features that we've been adding to, especially over the last year or two, in that right-click menu. In fact, I think the right-click menu is new to Paladin in the last year or so as well. We're always adding new little features in there. So play with that when you guys get some extra time. Right-click on the invoice. There's a bunch of cool options in there. And now you have the square footage calculator as well. You can also bring this up by hitting Control-S on your keyboard. So if you're a quick key fan and you'd like to you like to fly on the keyboard, then go ahead and use that Control-S to bring up this feature. Numbered quotes. We've had a lot of people asking for this. In the past, invoices are the only things that are numbered. You have an invoice number, of course, attached to every invoice. Historically, quotes were numbered lists. So we did not have a ID on those quotes. We now have an ID on those quotes, and this is just going to help you with tracking. If you want to, you can see the ID in the advanced lookup window when you're looking through your quotes, and you'll see that item on there so you can make sure that you pick the right one, just kind of helping organize our lives a little bit. When we get a ton of these quotes, we now have a corresponding quote number. This is something that needs to be turned on. And in order to turn it on, you go to the File Setup, which will open the Paladin configuration window. There's the Invoice Store tab. There's two Invoice tabs. One is Invoice Store and one is Invoice Local. Invoice Local contains a bunch of invoice-specific settings only for that computer, for that specific computer that you're on. The Invoice Store tab is invoice settings globally, so not just for the computer you sit in front of, but what will affect all of the computers in your store. So you want to hit the Invoice Store tab in the Paladin configuration window and then select Enable Quote Numbers. There's a little checkbox, and now you'll have numbers on your quotes. This is a big one. A lot of people have been asking for this for a long time. You have always been able to apply freight to a manually received purchase order. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the little box that pops up at the end of processing a purchase order that says, hey, do you want to go ahead and input some freight here? If you do, how would you like to divide that, by item cost or item weight? EDI, you have never been able to do this, but now you can. So at the end of processing an EDI invoice, you can go into the reporting window, and there is a new, I've got a little arrow pointing to the button. Don't know if you guys can see that, but you can see the little arrow pointing to the Apply Freight button. When you hit that button, it will pop up the same window that you see when done doing a manual purchase order, and you can apply some freight. The window that's going to pop up, you can see the little red there saying, oh, this invoice has not had freight applied to it. You can see the green checkbox for this is a invoice where the freight has been applied. This is the little box that will pop up right there, which allows you to add the freight and distribute that freight cost either by the item cost or the item weight, however you want to do that. Part of our best practices is to apply this freight cost as soon as possible after processing the EDI invoice. As of course, if you're doing fixed margin pricing and you want to maintain that margin, you want to go ahead before you're selling these items to input that freight. So process the EDI invoice, go ahead and click that Apply Freight button and apply that freight as soon as possible afterwards. That way you can get that freight added in as part of the cost, and you can recalculate retail prices based off of a fixed margin that you're trying to maintain. You're not losing any dollars there. So best practice, do this as quickly as possible after processing that EDI invoice. New feature that we've enabled is the customized email invoice messages. Paladin, of course, has the ability to email statements and invoices to your customers. Historically, it's just been kind of a generic, here's your invoice email. You now have the ability to customize that email message. This is a global setting, so what you enter there will be sent for all of the invoices that you send out. But if you're trying to say, hey, masks are required, so please bring your mask next time, or next month we're having a blowout sale on dog treats, you can go ahead and advertise for that in this email that you send off. So how to set this up is you go again into the file setup, which will bring up the Paladin configuration window. There's a tab in there called Forms. There's a new box in there called Email Message, and you can go ahead and put whatever you want in that box, and that will now be included on the emails that go out when sending a invoice. Not for the statements, just for the invoices. Create a new purchase order for back-ordered items. This one's just going to help streamline operations on the ordering side a little bit. So what you'll do is when you receive a purchase order, the supplier, you go through and send, hey, I ordered 6 of these, they only sent me 3. I ordered 5 of these, they didn't have any in stock, so those items are now back-ordered. Historically, and still, the purchase order will stay open until you receive all of those items. What you can now do is there's the Revise PO button. You can hit that button, and what it's going to do is going to close out the purchase order that is still open with some remaining back-ordered items on it. But let's say we want to order those from a different supplier because the supplier X that we sent it to is out of them for a while. So we want to order it from supplier Y. Well, as opposed to digging through a 200-line item purchase order, trying to figure out which are the items that are still open, which items still have back-ordered stock, and then manually creating a new purchase order to send that, this will do all of that work for you. So you revise the purchase order, the existing purchase order will be closed, a new purchase order will be automatically created for the remaining back-ordered items on the original purchase order. That Find PO button is where you will go in to find the purchase orders that you've already sent off. Then you'll hit the Revise PO to create a new purchase order and close down this one. When you're in the purchase order module, you can hit Recall PO, and you'll see the new PO name prefixed with Revised PO and contains the prior PO's number. And then you'll just double click on that. Boom. There's the purchase order with all the remaining back-ordered items. Easy peasy. Now we can send it off to whomever we want. Add precision to the PO quantity and price. So we've been able to sell. We have the add precision in the invoice quote module for a little bit now. You can right click and sell to a further decimal point down, so you can really get precise if you're selling something that requires that. You can now do that on the ordering side in the purchase order module as well. So you can right click on an item, it will bring up a little menu, you select add precision, and then you can go ahead and go pretty bonkers with the amount of precision that you can add to your purchase orders. These scheduled reports, we've done some updating to. You've always been able to go in and schedule automatic reports to be run at certain times, certain days. So if you don't want to look at a report right away, you can have it scheduled to run and then look at that list later of saved reports that automatically run and do whatever you need to do. Now we can exclude weekends. So if you are closed on the weekends and your list of saved reports is getting cluttered by a bunch of non-relevant weekend reports that automatically get generated, you can go in here and say, you know what, exclude the weekends. I don't need those reports on the weekends. Just kind of an organizational quality of life feature to help organize our lives and make sure that we're not drowning in a bunch of non-relevant information. You also have the ability to Accelerize, get an Excel version of the credit card deposit report. This report shows all of the credit cards that were processed that day. You can break it down by employee or terminal. It used to always just come up in a purchase or in a PDF, which you can't really do anything with. You know, PDF is more like a picture. You can't organize it or tally things or search for data within it. So this opens up that report to all of the features that come with Excel. So if you're trying to find a specific transaction, you don't have to scroll through a million little line items. You can hit Control F on your keyboard and search for it. All of the features that you can use in Excel, you can now use in tandem with this report. So just kind of a cool way of displaying the information and organizing it so you can do whatever you need to do with this report. There is a customer-friendly version of the transaction report. So if you want to send a transaction report to your customers, but you don't want them to see cost or the department that it's in, any margin data, you'll see a new option when running this transaction report where we've got the detailed display. I've got it circled, squared off in blue there. The customer-friendly one will obfuscate and omit the cost, margin data, department, things like that. And then the accounting department option will run this and generate the report that I'm sure you all are used to, the old transaction report. We can now automatically exclude special orders from rewards. So if you're doing rich rewards or repeat rewards, you can exclude those special orders from generating any points that may lead to a discount or $1 off or a freebie, whatever type of rewards software we have running. We can now make sure that our special orders are not being included within that, as the special orders may require more effort or have a tighter margin. You may not want to extend the corresponding rewards points for a special order. Now you don't have to. This does require a little bit of setup. You have to create a new no rewards class and then set the default class for the special order items in the company tab to the specific class ID that you've set up as the no rewards class. EMV stores, you can swipe credit cards to put them on file in Paladin. You can deselect the manual entry and collect card on file information by swiping the cards. So for EMV-enabled stores, a new checkbox there lets you optionally swipe a credit card to put it on file in Paladin. This feature is already available for stores that are not set up with EMV, but now the stores that are doing EMV, which I think is most people. There's definitely some that are not doing EMV, which is totally fine, but most people, I would say, are doing EMV. So to swipe the card, instead of manually enter the card number, when you start the file on the on-file process in the device manager window, you can deselect the manual entry checkbox that is selected by default, and you can swipe the cards to collect the information, just streamlining that process a little bit. Oh, this is a big one. At long last, I feel like I should have a drum roll here or be set up in an office like some of those radio hosts where I can have access to a bunch of cool buttons and sounds. I would drum roll if I had that option right now, because this has been asked for so long from so many. So at long last, you have product images. Now we are rolling this out by supplier. This is an EDI feature, so it's attached to the EDI function inside of Paladin. Currently, we have this for ACE and another. We'll be getting to that here in a second. But you can, in the advanced lookup window, when you're looking up an item, there'll be a little magnifying glass next to that, and you can click on it, and it will bring up the product image. Now, this product the images are added via EDI, and it's going to increase the number of images that you have access to over time. And image files can get rather large. Well, they're not huge, but when you're processing 200,000 of them, they can get really, really big. So this will be trickled in over time as you receive more EDI files from your suppliers. Currently, this feature is available for True Value and ACE. And if you're like, man, I'm not seeing the images on all of my products, give it some time. It's going to take a few weeks before all of these images trickle in. Again, we're as good as the data sent to us, so if we're not provided a picture of the product from the supplier, there will not be any photo display. So if you don't see the little magnifying glass next to it, there is no photo. Paladin wasn't sent one. Hopefully that we'll get one for that at some point in the near future. Not all products are going to have images associated with them, of course, but my understanding is the suppliers are trying to provide as many of those as possible. So moving forward and getting better over time, you'll have more and more items that have images associated with it, which will just be very nice, just making sure that you're selling the right item. If you have a new employee who keeps selecting the incorrect thing, well, now hopefully we can get them to use this feature, pull it up in the advanced lookup, look at the picture, oh, that is the exact one that I'm selling, cool. So just kind of more information to better arm our clerks to do their job here. We got some supplier-specific features that we're going to be going over, so I'm sorry if these are not relevant to you, if you don't do business with these suppliers. The first one here is a ACE feature. So ACE hot sheets for their sales and things like that are going to process automatically overnight. So what you had to do in the past was process these manually. I mean, they'll process automatically once you start them, but now it's just going to do it overnight. So when the store's closed down, nobody's using the computer, it's not going to it's not going to slow down your computers by using up processing space to process these files. It'll just happen overnight. So we're going to automatically process ACE hot sheets and maintenance updates overnight. It happens at 4 a.m. in your local time. The price increases are delayed to ensure your bin tag prices aren't lower than the inventory prices. So it gives you a little bit of time to go out there and put new bin tags on the items. I believe the prices will become valid when you process the corresponding EDI file. But this will already have the hot sheets processed automatically overnight. There's a manual setup for this. You can go to the EDI F9, download files. You still need to do that in order to process your EDI and invoices and get the delayed price updates. But the processing time for those are going to be a lot shorter because the bulk of the processing, which is the hot sheets and maintenance files, that's going to be done overnight. So if you're running your files, you're like, man, that was a really fast EDI file process. Did something go wrong? No, something just went incredibly right in that you already had half of that file processed. So it's just going to kind of decrease the time that you guys have to use to process these files. The revenue report, this is also ACE specific. The revenue report has an update where it is now going to show ACE instant savings and dynamic promotions. So after June 1st, 2020, ACE instant savings and dynamic promotions will appear under two new department categories. You'll have ACE instant savings with a department ID and ACE dynamic promo there with another department ID. No changes to the tax or accounting calculations in Paladin. This is just breaking down information so you guys can help look at this information better and really for tax reporting purposes. So the changes were made to prevent revenue totals from appearing greater than taxable totals when promotions are taxed. Taxes get very complicated. This feature is just trying to help us make sure that we're reporting data that helps you guys understand it properly. We also have, this is for in-store pickup, support for Big Green Egg online pickup in-store orders. So if you're doing the in-store pickup from ACE, this guy, you'll need to do this in Paladin. Go to Maintain, Utilities, ACE Big Green Egg Skew Conversion. And basically what this is going to do is it runs through all the UPCs that are Big Green Egg UPCs and adds the proper numbers to them from ACE. So ACE can see exactly what you have in stock in regards to the Big Green Egg, and if a customer is using the in-store pickup, going online on AceNet to purchase one of those items, your store will now be eligible and it'll show those items in your store. So if you want to make sure that your customers can purchase Big Green Egg products online from your store, make sure you run this Big Green Egg Skew Conversion tool. Again, go into Maintain, Utilities, ACE Utilities, and then the ACE Big Green Egg Skew Conversion. If that's confusing, call Paladin Support. We can help you with that. We got some True Value features here. So we've got the EDI file support. We've added support for the following True Value EDI files. We've got fine line updates. So we're going to be updating True Value's fine lines weekly, which is basically their smallest organizational class, kind of like a subclass. Long descriptions. So for selling things online, you can do, it will add True Value's long product description in the description 3 field in Paladin. If you go to the General tab in the Invoice module, the Item Information page pane, and you can see the long description in there. Images, as we've already talked about that, you can import product images or it'll happen automatically from the EDI files into Paladin for the new and updated items. And when available, those product images, of course, can be viewed in the advanced lookup window. Dropship, process dropship invoices. Remote stock check data, which is kind of cool. Vendor locations, will update vendor locations weekly, and then the vendor direct shipped terms. So you can process that vendor shipment data, and that's going to happen Monday through Friday. We also support the weekly inventory pricing uploads. Paladin added support for the daily, the end-of-day pricing and inventory uploads to True Value for both non-True Value and True Value products. If you want to enable this upload, go ahead and call Paladin Support. We can help you with that. True Value EDI will also automatically create pricing plans now here. So if True Value has any promotions going on, it will show you a list of the promotions, and you can select, oh, hey, these are the promotions that I want to apply to my store, and you'll get a little checkbox list. You can select which promotions you want to apply, and then it will go ahead and just make that purchase, or that pricing plan, for you. This is also going to declutter old sale lists and pricing plans by deleting the non-relevant old ones. So just kind of a way to help maintain those and to make sure that you're aware of any promotions that True Value has, and to automatically create a pricing plan and apply that pricing plan should you want to do so. We've got some pharmacy-specific features. The Enhanced Prescription Drug Monitoring Program. The pharmacy world is in love with complicated acronyms here, so we've got the EPDMP. This is going to record who picks up a prescription, further protecting stores and customers from liability and compliance issues. So if somebody is picking up a prescription that they are not the taker of that prescription, some states, I believe it's required in Wisconsin, and others are likely to follow, require that you collect the information of not only the person who the prescription is for, but also the person picking up the prescription. So this is going to require the user to provide the name and ID and relationship of the person picking up a controlled substance prescription. If you're using SpeedScript, as your pharmacy software, then this feature is available to you. We might be coming out with it with some other integrations. Currently, it is available for our speed script. Okay, guys. I'm sorry that it was a little bit longer than the normal one here. Also had some technological difficulties halfway through there. But thank you for sticking with me to the very end here. Let's see if we've got any questions. Jamie Davis, you asked, are there any plans for better Sage integration? I'm not sure if everyone saw the answer, but we currently support the Sage 50 cloud integration. We don't have any other Sage integrations in progress right now at this time, but if you have the Sage 50, we have very similar integration that we do with Sage with QuickBooks. So the sending over the general ledger information and also purchase orders can get sent automatically over to Sage as well. Debbie, you asked, is there any chance of a payable module in Paladin? You are not the first person to ask that question. Currently, there's nothing in the books for a payable module, and really the reason is we have, how do I put this properly? You can only be good at so many things, right? So we kind of have to pick the areas that we're good at. There are so many different ways. If you ask 10 different accountants and bookkeepers how to do their job, you're going to get 10 different answers, and all of them will die on the hill of that their answer is correct. And you know what, for them it probably is. So we usually leave the accounts payable and time clock and tracking all of those things to the people who have software built specifically for that, as it's a pretty deep hole. Once you open in there and you start going down that rabbit hole, it can keep going and going and going. So currently we don't have any plans for an accounts payable module. We're just trying to work on integrations with people who have spent the time and effort to make accounts payables that are super good. So we're trying to get our integrations going with them. Not saying that it won't ever happen, but currently we don't have any plans for it, unfortunately. Kay, you asked how the accounting updates to QuickBooks are automatic. You do need to call Paladin support. We can help you get set up with the QuickBook updates. And yeah, they do happen automatic every evening, as well as the purchase orders. I forget how often that happens, but I think it's every hour we check to see if there's any any new purchase orders that have been closed, and then send that information automatically over to QuickBooks. Craig, good question. I believe so. For the quantity on hand in the distribution center for true value to be in the invoice module, I believe so. I'll have to look into that here. But yes, I believe that the idea behind that feature is to be able to see that from the invoice module.
I can just say, I can add, can you hear me?
Oh.
I can just add that is true from the stock check or the bottom ribbon.
Okay, cool. Awesome. You can use that stock check button. I think it's F7. Is that right, Lisa?
I'd have to
anyway,
look. Oh my goodness.
Whatever the button is, I'm putting you on the spot. Whatever the button is, you'll be able to see the stock on hand for the distribution centers. So yes, Craig. Thank you, Lisa. When will the advanced search images be available for Oracle? Rick was asking. Lisa, can you speak to that at all? You have a little more direct line to the.
I don't know. I don't have an idea about that. I mean, nothing is in work right now, so I don't know what the answer is to that.
Stay tuned, Rick. We'll look into it. And we'll let the people know when we do have that. My understanding of it is we do want to give that feature to as many EDI suppliers as we do have out there, or at least any ones that are willing to play ball with us. You know, we like I said earlier, we're as good as the data sent to us. So if the supplier has the information and there's a ability for Paladin's EDI function to get it, then my understanding is we will be working towards getting it with as many suppliers as possible. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll have some Oracle pictures up and running sooner rather than later. Okay, I think that's all of the questions. As always, everybody, I very much appreciate you sticking through till the very end with me here. If you have any more questions, we are always available via support, the chat, as we went over earlier. Hopefully some of you can start using that guy. And then, of course, if you ever want to review any of the things that we talked about here, this webinar will be available on our recorded webinar library pretty quick after we get done here. So you can always go in there and watch them. You can download the slides, too, if for some reason you would like to have those available. You can absolutely go download those and get all of those slides, so you can have some physical copies of all this information. The next webinar, we talked briefly about the Fastbound Integration. This is helping streamline the ability of stores to sell firearms, collect the proper information, update their bound book. I'm going to use the word bound book as many times as possible because I just learned it and it makes me feel so smart. So so next webinar, we are going to be going very deep into the Fastbound Integration, talking about everything that it can do for you, showing off some of the features. It's a pretty cool integration. So if you sell firearms, make sure that August 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you guys log in. Keep an eye on the new features window in Paladin. What that is when you open Paladin, you'll see that little box there in the background, just of the home screen. That guy, we always try to release update notes and tell you about new features that come out. We also advertise our webinars there, so keep an eye on that guy. You'll see a little link in there to sign up and get joined for this next webinar coming up. When you have when you see that, go ahead and click on it. That will get you signed up for this webinar. So if you sell any firearms, make sure you join us for the Fastbound one. And as always, team, we appreciate your time and we appreciate you. It's been 2020 has been certainly a year. You know, it's been a lot of chaos out there, but we're still doing everything we can to support you guys, and we really appreciate everyone sticking through together. We're all in this together, and we'll get through it, and hopefully life will return to normal sooner rather than later. So thank you all for your continued patronage and your time this morning here. I will see you next time.